Certainly the toughest conference in all of college basketball, and maybe at least 2 teams, maybe 3, get to the Final Four. That's some of the chatter that's out there right now about the Big East. Jason Horowitz, Bill Raftery, glad to be with you here in the paint here on CBSSports.com. And Bill, you see the Big East every single week. You saw UConn on Wednesday. You saw Pittsburgh on Monday. You have seen Louisville as well, and you'll see them again soon. When you look at those 3 teams, the 3 at the top of the Big East, which one has the best shot to be the national champion?
In 1979, when Dave Gavitt started this monster, I never thought it would end up like this. This is just amazing. So many teams are so good, have the potential to go all the way, and Connecticut jumps out. I mean, this is a talented team. They can beat you in a lot of ways. They can extend the floor. They can pressure you in the half court, play the zone, and of course the combination of the beat and aggressive play in the perimeter makes it very difficult to have a high field goal percentage.
You're going to see UConn and Pitt next Monday, and Bill, when you talk about Pitt, what are they missing, or maybe what do they have to get to UConn status?
Well, they're missing when Blair gets in foul trouble. I mean, that's when they've lost games, when he's been unable to perform. Maybe a backup. McGee comes to mind as a guy, just to give him a few minutes to give the big guy a blow. DeJuan Blair is an outstanding performer and plays bigger with that 7'4" expanse. So that's the one concern that I would have, and I'm sure they do. He can't get the cheap foul early. That's what he's been prone to do, but they have the same kind of elements that Connecticut does. Beat you outside, some guys that are very talented on the wings and can attack the rim, and they're very good defensively. They're more man-to-man, and they get in your face. They chug you on cuts. There's always a hand in. Very intelligent defensive team.
And they've got a very underrated floor general in Levant.
Oh, Levant, you forget him because he's
you don't talk about him enough,
right?
But he's phenomenal. What about Louisville? What are they missing to be that team?
If you ask Rick Pitino that, I would say consistency in the backcourt. Sosa's a guy that's got to run the show for them. He's got to perform with a lot of intelligence, make good decisions on the run, and still score, because that's his game. They run 4 guards. 2 Knowles and McGee are the defensive guys. They really get after you and change the way they play. But the press enables them to score on bad nights, and that's why they're dangerous.
All right, Bill, let's get into some of the teams here, because the Big East is essentially eating itself up with how good the conference is, the schedule. Notre Dame certainly knows all about that. They play Louisville tonight here on Thursday, and Notre Dame has lost 7 straight. Let's talk about some of these teams that are going to be fighting for NCAA tournament spots.
I thought God was on Notre Dame's side. Unfortunately,
yeah,
not in scheduling.
Not anymore. Certainly not this year. Let's talk about some of those teams in the middle, and you've seen most recently Syracuse. You saw them last night. What's going on there? They've lost 6 of 8.
I know this will offend you, being a grad. That's the best I've seen them, and I mean that the first half.
They scored 49 points, Bill.
The first half, they were terrific. All of a sudden, Arinze couldn't do the Okinawa. I never get the thing right, but his inability to score in the low post because he wasn't mobile, that hurt. Jackson, not a formidable guy yet because he's not as experienced, but that all hurts you as the game progresses, and all of a sudden your guards are going to the rim. They're stuck, they walk, they throw up flyers, there are runouts against them. They did break down and therefore didn't score, but I just like their passion early, and if they continue that, they're going to get in the NCAA tournament.
All right, well, they've got Georgetown this weekend. What has happened to John Thompson III's team?
I don't think they're as mean as other Georgetown teams, nor as aggressive. I think their tougher guys are on the perimeter. And usually you think of Georgetown, you think of guys banging the glass, intimidating. And I also think the inability to score at times. And Monroe's a young guy who's going to be a star. So they're looking for him to keep progressing. And again, it's all about scheduling and psychologically, if you're not ready. And I think that's what happened with Notre Dame as well. You get banged, and you don't have the resiliency because either you're young or you don't have the roots maybe that you definitely need if you're going to progress to the NCAA.
What about Bob Huggins' team at West Virginia?
Huggies' team didn't play well at Pitt. They're the hole in the middle. They just don't have a big guy, so they have to be efficient on the offensive end, cut extremely well, and they can't play without Butler and Ruoff, as they tried to do with Pitt with the early foul problems. But they're a good team. We saw that against Ohio State. It's just this league is such a monster.
And Villanova and Cincinnati, a couple of teams that are on the rise. Providence has played well as a whole here in the Big East. And also before that, if you had to guess how many teams get in, do you think it's going to be the record 9, or do you think they'll have 8 like last year?
I think it depends how the Cincinnatis and so on go down to the end. Providence is another one in that hunt, as you mentioned. They can get 9. It depends on the mid-major, quote unquote, as to who wins their tournament, whether they can slip that ninth in.
All right, we'll see if they get that record ninth team. And you're
Do
right.
they deserve it?
Well, that's.
I mean, strength of schedule.
They're all beating each other
Right.
up. But you look at Georgetown. What they're doing, their strength of schedule is number 1 in the nation.
Right.
They're not winning these games, but they were early, including that win against Memphis, which looks pretty good right now.
And
So
even with Syracuse, too, with those wins early in the year.
And the one against Kansas,
Florida, and Memphis.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they didn't have
last
couple of years.
Well, he's traveling a little.
Yeah, well,
the Heimer's on the road.
This is good things for Bill Raftery and who? The Heimer.
The Heimer.
Yeah, there you go. I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.